My people, first of all, sorry about the sound. It's not very clear today, but it's okay. I know we're together. It's a technical issue, but we're going to have it resolved as soon as possible. Right? Now, I appreciate you. You know, I love you. This is family. It's where we come together to have a discussion. Sometimes we bash each other. Sometimes it's humorous. Sometimes it's very serious. Wow, this is very interesting. But before I start, let me put it this way for you. Have you ever been in a situation with somebody where you sort of argue about a subject and it goes south? It gets sour very quickly and people feel offended. Even though you know you were right in that circumstance, but you choose peace and you say sorry. The objective was to find peace. You don't want to argue about who's right, who's wrong, even though logically you were right. Have you ever experienced that before? And then after saying, I'm sorry, my friend, they go like, yeah, you know, you always do that. No, that is not good enough. You need to say sorry properly. You know, you need to stand up your chair and say you're sorry because what you just did there is unacceptable. But let's get back to track. You were right in the situation. The reason why you say you're sorry is because you actually want to find peace. Because there are many people like that. They don't want to argue unnecessarily about things. But then when you say sorry, instead of saying, okay, brother, let's move on, they go like, no, I don't like that because even the way you're saying sorry doesn't look like you mean it. You need to stand up and say sorry appropriately. And they stand up and they leave. Then you're like, this guy is not okay. You know what I mean? I've experienced this before by myself. And I decided never to say sorry again when you know you're right. I'm sorry, I know it may sound some kind of way. But the problem is if you're dealing with somebody mature, they understand that peace is better than arguments that are absolutely stupid. But sometimes you meet people that are not necessarily matured enough. And they think that's an incentive to continue doing wrong. I mean, if somebody makes the toilets dirty and you say to them, why is the toilet dirty? Then they go, why are you screaming at me? Why are you talking to me this way? Why are you speaking to me sideways? They're pushing you away from the issue, which is the toilet is dirty. You left it dirty. You should have cleaned it. And you say sorry. When you say sorry, you are reinforcing them from keeping the toilets dirty, because if they're mature, they say, okay, maybe the point was correct. The toilet was dirty. But immature people will reinforce their mentality, say, okay, so from now on, I can keep the toilet dirty. If he speaks to me, I just have to scream and he's going to say sorry. Right? Well, fellas, in Zimbabwe, they decided to pay the farmers. I think we had this discussion, right? The Zimbabwean government decided to pay an equivalent of $3.5 billion to white farmers that had lost their land, white people's land, in Zimbabwe. Farming land, okay? And what has occurred, most of the farmers have refused the money Zimbabwe is offering. Yes, crazy stuff, absolutely crazy stuff. So let me give you context. Zimbabwe has decided to pay the farmers who lost their farms.
Compensation of farmers who are governed by the BIPA arrangements. This is Bilateral Protection and Investment Promotion Agreement. This compensation is enshrined in the Constitution. And we're just honoring what is already in the Constitution, and they're being compensated for both improvements on the land and the land itself, because they brought in their investments into the country. So this is compensation for the whole investment.
The farms were in Zimbabwe. We're going to get into how did they get the farms. After losing the farm 20 years ago, the Zimbabwean government has decided to pay them money for the farm they had lost. Supposedly not for the farm, but for the improvements they made on the farm. That's actually Zimbabwe. Now, after offering $3.5 billion, the payment started. The first batch was $308 million to a few farmers. Now, the farmers, the majority, about over 80% have refused the money. And perhaps 17% say, okay, the 17% surely are the people that are going through difficulties, you know. When you ain't got no money, you don't say no to money. Yeah. It's those cases. But the farmers that are standing their feet, standing their ground, and still have some money have said, no, we don't want that. Our farms are worth much more than that.
You see, when this global compensation deed was signed, one of the issues was a number of farmers, a few hundred farmers who are destitute, who are somewhere in a bed, in a hospital or an old age home, and who have nothing. We don't know how they will pay their medical bills at the end of this month, how they will afford their medicine. Now, because of the number of these farmers, the Zimbabwean government agreed to make what they call an interim relief payment.
You think about the story again when somebody shit in the toilet and you're trying to correct them and they get upset, then you say you're sorry. Then they say, yeah, F you can't talk to me like this. Next time you need to stand up and say sorry. But you knew you were correct. That's exactly what's happening in Zimbabwe. Crazy stuff. Now, for context, for some of you who don't know, Zimbabwe is right here. This is the country. It's not so beautiful anymore, so I can't say beautiful place, lovely people. Lovely people, maybe, yes. The place is not as beautiful as anymore, okay? Many, many years ago, Zimbabwe was colonized by the British. Like many African nations, Nigeria, Uganda, Kenya, and more. British took Zimbabwe and they made a bunch of farmers. Okay, so many British people that were in Zimbabwe were farmers. And in order for you to be a farmer, you need land. So they took land by force, grabbing land from black people, forcing them to work on the land. But were they productive? Yes, they were very productive. They produced potato, tomato, whatever you want to call it. Everything, chicken, duck, produced in the farms. The Zimbabweans were just consumers and workers. Now, this guy here, Robert Mugabe.
So, Blair, keep your England and let me keep my Zimbabwe.
Great fighter of freedom for Zimbabwe. He was a leader. His objective initially was great. He wanted to take some of the land from the white people and give to the black people. It was called land reform. Obviously, this is our country. It's Zimbabwe.
Occupied the land illegally. They seized the land from our people. Look. And therefore, the process of reform, land reform, involved their handing.
How come the majority of beautiful land, workable land, fertile land are within the hands of white people from Britain? Now, these white people work in Zimbabwe, they make money, and they go bank in Britain. He says to them, how are you banking in Britain, but you're supposed to be Zimbabwe? Yes, we are Zimbabwe. You born here? Yes, I'm born here. So why are you sending money to Britain? You're not putting money into the Zimbabwean banks. You know what? If you can't do this, then you're not Zimbabwean. Or matter of fact, we need to take some of the land from you guys and allocate to the people of Zimbabwe. He gave the land to the Zimbabweans. The idea was good. Practically, it was difficult because a lot of Zimbabweans didn't know how to run land. It's like they're just giving you a land. You don't know what to do with it. Even though you may have some experience, but you don't quite know how to manage it. And unfortunately, many black people, like many black people do, when you give them $100 to do a work, they will spend $85 for themselves, buying shoes, eating food, whatever, and use the rest, maybe 15%, to try work the land. And unfortunately, it doesn't work out. I'm not saying other people don't do it, but other people will use 95% in the job and maybe spend 5%. Black people generally don't do that. And that was one of the reasons. On top of that, Zimbabwe was hit with many, many sanctions. So they couldn't trade, they couldn't buy things from external, they couldn't export things. It was very difficult. And America and Britain justified that move by saying that white people were being tortured in Zimbabwe. They took their land by force. It was unacceptable. So after the land was taken from white people, many of them crossed into South Africa, hoping to get a better life. Yes, they were accepted by many other white people living in South Africa and Zambia, because there are white people that are farmers living in South Africa. The white people of Zimbabwe went into South Africa. Sometimes later, the people of Zimbabwe crossed into South Africa following the white people they just chased. Obviously, you see, so you gotta be prepared. Now, things became very difficult. And as we know right now, Zimbabweans are begging for the white people they kicked out to come back. Watch this.
Because people from Zimbabwe, they're starting to get their jobs. There's no jobs, there's no money. Maybe the farm gonna beg, they could get money, jobs.
The white farmers are supposed to be compensated for the work they did on the farm because they upgraded them, they built dams.
Like you said, they were creating jobs and things have changed now. Who's gonna do it? Watch this.
We cannot just take things that we did not work for and make it our own, even though the land is our own. So, but those were past indifferences.
What they did before, which is wrong, which are these white people complaining for? If they can retain it and they do new agreements of which will benefit us as Zimbabweans, because now our economy is down, and then even the whites, they give us sanction of which our lives is like, that's why we're stranded from Zimbabwe to each and every country trying to find our green pastures, of which now is hard.
Now, Edison Mnangagwa, sorry I just murdered his name, was a very close person to former President Robert Mugabe. But he overthrew him just before he died. Overthrew him, he wanted to take power, now he got the power. Now, America and Britain initially said that the reason why they sanctioned Zimbabwe was because Mugabe was a terrorist or a dictator, whatever they call it. Mugabe passed on, but Zimbabwe was still under sanctions. It wasn't working. So initially, Mnangagwa tried to lean toward Russia, okay? He created a bond with Russia, trying to talk to Russia. Russia even offered Zimbabwe a couple of helicopters for ambulance purpose, and stuff like that. It was great, beautiful move. However, it just feels like not pleasing the United States of America is difficult for Zimbabwe. In order to clean up, Zimbabwe has decided to pay white people that used to own the farm. Even though the white people's ancestors took the farm by force from black people in Zimbabwe. So the only way to open up to the market is to please Americans and Donald Trump right now. And this is why Zimbabwe's leaders are doing this. Now, on another move, recently Donald Trump issued a 16% tariff on Zimbabwe. In return, Zimbabwe say, America, you can bring your stuff for free. You don't need to pay any tax. Unlike other nations where they were issued tax, they will retaliate. Zimbabwe say, actually, you can bring your stuff for free, trying to please Donald Trump. Is this the right move for Zimbabwe? Now, the question mark is, should Zimbabwe had offered a compensation to the white farmers that had lost their land? Number 2, is the land really the white farmers' land? Can they claim it? Number 3, if the land is not theirs, the improvements made on the land, does it deserve to be compensated? Let me know how you feel about that. The Zimbabwean government justified the move, saying that the reason why we are paying the farmers is not the land that we're paying. We're only paying the improvements they had made on the land we have taken back. Like I said, over 80% of white people that have been offered money from Zimbabwe have refused the money. They say it's not enough. What's going to happen? Can Africa learn to live with Africa by themselves? That's a big question mark, yeah. I think this moment should be a moment of thinking, of realizing how imprisoned many African nations are. We still are prisoners. We don't understand. I think people get acquainted with cell phones and devices and tools, and you think you're free. You can travel. You're not very much free, because if economies in countries will collapse in Africa, if Africans cannot move forward by themselves without thumbs up from the United States of America, if everybody has to shake, if they have to pay people they said were not within their rights to please America, if even the move toward Russia did not help Zimbabwe, then I think we are very deep into the pit of slavery. Let me know how you feel about that. On a good note, fellas, we have some good news from where? From Nigeria! Yeah, Nigeria! Yes, good news from Nigeria. It's not just Boko Haram and all the herdsmen unaliving Christians and all the corruption and Netflix stealing money. It's not just some good things from Nigeria. Now, listen to this. A court in Nigeria has ordered the club to compensate the family of a soccer player. The National Industrial Court of Nigeria has found the Nigerian soccer league NFF negligent of the death of Chinime Martins, who was unalive in March 2020. Chinime Martins, who played for Nasarawa United, was unalive corrupting during a Nigerian professional football league match in which there was insufficient medical services. Insufficient medical services. That means there was no service medical that was there to save his life. The court ruling stated that it was reprehensible that Martins was allowed to play without a complete medical test, without the provision of adequate medical facilities at the stadium. And they have ordered the club to compensate Martins' family. Congratulations. Yes, they must compensate the family. So this young man was 25 years old, soccer player. Unfortunately, he fell on the ground and because the club did not have facilities, They did not have medical instrument to protect this boy, and also they did not do adequate tests before having to play. His brother said, I hope that the appropriate medical provision are put in place for Nigerian footballers going forward, so that no family has to endure the pain we have suffered. A report published by NFF website last year highlighted that Nasarawa United had neither medical doctor and that there were no functional ambulance at the stadium at the time of the incident. My brother, in Nigeria, you found 1,000 ambulance for 223,000 people. Okay, the population of Nigeria is 223 million people. There's one ambulance for 200, not 1,000. One ambulance for 223,000 people. Obviously, there's no ambulance in the stadium. At least we would expect the stadium to have ambulance. Like, come on. Moreover, Martins never underwent an echocardiogram at the start of each of his 3 seasons in the club. This is crazy, fellas. An echocardiogram is crucial for soccer players. Okay? If you're a professional soccer player, an echocardiogram test is a standard part of medical screening, especially during transfers, contracts, or when joining an elite club or national team. So what's there to know about echocardiogram? An echocardiogram is a scan of the heart. They use it to check in large heart chambers, which is common in endurance athletes. They use it also to check abnormal heart rhythm and congenital issues. It takes only 20 minutes, fellas. Like 20 minutes to do this test, which is very, very crucial. Obviously, they're going to check your hypertrophy. So that's as per regulation, FIFA or UFAA, you need to do this test to make sure that you're fine. And it's very sad. You never did the test in 3 seasons. Takes 20 minutes, no test. And when he fell on the ground while playing soccer, there was no medical. I'm just glad that the family is getting compensated. And as much as it's difficult, it doesn't bring him back. But let's hope. Nigerians are rich, right? They usually, must pay him $10 million. Pay the family. All right. Thank you very much, fellas. God bless.